What's up, man? How you feeling?
Oh man, I'm feeling great. I'm about a
Shawn
125
French,
right
what
now,
up?
man. Been up since
Yeah.
4, got my lift in, got my run, got my sauna, and here we are.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
You're in Houston right now, doing this from a hotel
Yeah,
room.
yeah,
I appreciate you,
yeah,
brother.
yeah. No, no. I appreciate the opportunity, and one of the things I'm grateful for in this generation is that we're more concerned with getting the work in, than the environment. When I was coming up, it was TV was different. Like everything was perfect. Everything was in a big studio. Now, man, we're just in our real habitat, in our real world, what I'm saying, getting it in, and I love it.
Well, dude, it's funny because we can go all the way back to that speech in 2008 for this, right? The how bad do you want it? And I can remember this, and this all ties in. I want to go over this with you because this played a big part in my life. I can remember when it got really big in 2012. I was coaching some baseball teams, and we had some low performers. We weren't the best team, but I'm gonna tell you what. When I heard how bad do you want it, it literally hair on in, man. I understood it completely because a lot of times, like you say, people are looking for the right moment, that moment where everything's fitting together, and it's really just very simple. How bad do you want it? You want success as badly as you want to breathe. So I just want to thank you for that, man, because man, that's played a
Yeah,
pivotal role in my life.
yeah, no
Big
doubt. No,
time, dude, big time.
yeah,
So this is
hey, hey,
really cool.
and it played and has played a pivotal role in my life as well. Yeah, a lot of over 100 million, views on the internet, which means I don't know how many people have literally had an opportunity to see that, but it's something that's still real today. People are listening to it. It was like a timeless message. I meet people, all over there. Like I watch that every day. When I'm in my darkest moments, I listen to that, and so it's one of those things that, you know, when you talk about not being perfect, even that moment we did it in, that was the first time we ever used a camera. That was the first time we ever used a microphone. It was only 30 kids in that room, and it was probably one of the more inferior rooms. If you look at the actual video, we had a what they called back then a projector that you would put like a transient piece of paper on and lay it, and then it would show the image on the wall. So it wasn't even you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't even like a screen projector or, a computer. But yet that pure moment has touched so many people's lives. And I think to your point, sometimes we are focused on the perfect moment, but if we would become the perfect person in whatever moment we are, meaning at that particular time in our life, like elevating to the highest we can elevate, man, you get a video with over 100,000, 100 million hits. And like I said, that video has changed my life, not only my life in terms of financial, professional, but my children, you know, um, everybody knows that they're my kids. And so they walk through life, a little different because of what happened that day. And so, man, that video has changed, the course of my life.
Dude, it's insane because you're going through all this. You're talking about being perfect and not waiting for the right moment. That moment right there, when you're sitting there in that room, because you were a guidance counselor then, weren't you? Weren't you? Is that
Yeah,
what you were doing then?
absolutely.
Yeah. So when you're getting there and you're in that
I
room,
was an academic advisor.
academic
Absolutely. Yeah.
advisor,
Yeah. Exactly what I was doing.
you never know the moments. You never know the moments that are going to take your life to the next level. What we need to do is have faith and trust that whatever moment we're in, that's the moment, right? Like that's the moment right there. Let's be present in
Yeah,
this
that's it. That's
moment.
the moment.
That's it. Because,
Yeah.
here we are 12 years later from that going completely viral, and not just your life and your children's lives, but bro, you've changed many lives on this planet. And I think that's something that most people would just aspire to. How is it personally enriched your life and in your faith and everything that you're doing, having that impact?
You know, I think um, clarity. We all have gifts, but when you hear from people who are being blessed by your gift, you get the clarity in terms of, oh, this is what they want. Oh, this is what they need. Oh, this is how they need it. Oh, this is the time frame in which they need it. Okay, got it. And so there's a clarity that I have when you meet the people who you actually minister to, and they're able to talk about what you mean to them and what the message means to them. And so every time I do a message now, I'm not shooting in the dark. I know exactly. Today is leg day. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Today is bicep day, tricep day. Today is cardio day. You know, like today we're sprinting. Today, we're not on sprints. We're on pace, because we're going a long distance. Find an easy pace. We're about to do 5 miles. So it provided that clarity that you have in other industries. Imagine you not knowing when leg day is. Imagine you not knowing which parts of your body to work out. Like, bro, it would be, I'm not saying you wouldn't get results, but having that pure clarity allows you to hone in and get the type of results that only clarity brings. And so for me, I have clarity. I know exactly what the people want. I know exactly how they want it. So now I can focus on just getting better, developing my talent, developing my spirit, developing my character, developing my delivery. But I know exactly what they want, and so it's just been phenomenal, man. I've gone through life at a point where I didn't have clarity, and it definitely doesn't look like the life that I live now. I went without who's my father, does my father love me? I went, do I know how to write? Do I know how to read? I went homeless. Am I ever going to be stable again? So I've lived a life of not having clarity, and I lived a life of clarity. And boy, I tell you, it's a difference when you're walking through life with a sense of clarity.
Dude, I love that, man, and I want to focus on that because so many people see ET as ET, right? Like what has come since that video. But not a lot of people have taken time to really know exactly the journey. They hear bits and pieces of it, right? But one of the things that you always say, to complain is common, to focus on who loves me is common. We're here to be special. We're here to be great. And so we have to take responsibility and go through that, obviously, and feel those feelings, but come out on the other side as being a responsible human being. The biggest thing that I love, man, is like I think, and I know that the world can relate to that message. You have had those moments where you didn't have the clarity. Now, I know you mentioned a few things that you didn't have clarity on, but can you share with my audience a little bit about that lack of clarity and how determination, because this is the Determined Society, right, podcast. So how did determination lead you through to where you're at right now?
Yeah, so I think, man, and I never even thought about this before. Of course, I was very determined, but I never thought about that word in my personal journey. But when you don't know, you're clueless. And when you're clueless, you're shooting in the dark. Like you don't have any idea of, where you're going, what you're doing. So when I didn't have the clarity that I have now, it's like driving somewhere without a GPS system, driving somewhere without a map, like driving somewhere you don't know if you're going north or south. So all the efforts that I put forth, I never got nothing from them. So I would always be frustrated. I would always be, in a place of pain, a place of fear, right? Because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I was going. It was I was just going through life aimlessly. But I remember seeing other people my age, starting to finish school, go to college, or go get a trade. And it was like, whoa, I don't know where I'm going and I don't know what I want, but I know what I don't want. And that's when determination kicked in. I was like, okay, I don't want to go to jail. Like, I don't know what I want to do in my life, but I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to die early. And I had friends die early. I don't want to get shot and killed. And so it was this determination of, I don't want to be another statistic. I don't want to be in the graveyard. So I got to figure out what I want to do. But determination was the thing that allowed me to go, don't do this and don't do that and don't do this and don't do that, and try to figure out what it is you're supposed to do. And eventually through determination, I did get clarity.
No, I love that, man, because, we could talk about, determination and clarity, but you mentioned the GPS. Everything we do in life on a daily basis has a roadmap, right? So whether it's financial or your career, you've got the plan of what you're going to execute. And at every single moment of that time, we don't worry about if we're going to get there or not. We know that if we listen to the GPS, follow the plan, no matter what it is, we're going to end up to that destination. And I think a lot of people get caught up in it's not happening fast enough, right? I mean, I can remember sitting in, this is straight up, man. I remember having conversations with Brandon. Hey, man, how do I get ET for my 100th episode? He's like, oh, man, we'll get there, but we ain't there yet. And, bro, here we are. I didn't think about it every day. I just said, okay, gas, foot, pedal, go, right? And built the show to a point where I have this opportunity. But at no point in mind, I think this ain't going to work. You know, and I think a lot of people get caught up in, well, this isn't working fast enough, and how do I know this is going to work, right? Whereas instead of trusting that GPS or that plan, what are some tips or advice that you might have for somebody? Because I know you've got this big event coming up in June, right? June 24th, you got this big online challenge, and, you know, I can't wait for my audience to be a part of that, you know, and I'm sure they're going to get a lot of these things there. But, like, talk to me about some of the tips and things that they can do to execute these plans and detach from the results, so to speak.
Yeah, I think first you have to change your perspective. You just said it. You have to go from the reward to the work. You know, you have to stop focusing on the reward. You have to know that the only thing that's going to stop you from getting a reward is if you stop working. But you don't get a reward without work. Like, there's no way to get a reward if you're not working. And so I had to just go, hey, forget the reward. Like, concentrate on the work every single day. You know, to your point, you know, I started running about 3 months ago, and I was like, you know, I needed to, you know, shed about 20 pounds. You know, I was pre-diabetic. I was like, I need to shed some pounds. And so I remember when I first started running, I used to be like, okay, how much further do you have to go? Oh, today is a short run or a long run. You know, it's just like, bruh, relax. You know, did you lose weight today? It's like, bruh, you're about to make the journey tiresome, boring. You're about to make it, you know, tedious. Like, yo, just get up and however far you could go, go. And just do it every Monday, do it every Tuesday, do it every Wednesday. I first started, I could probably run about 20 miles nonstop. 20 minutes nonstop. I think I'm at a little bit over an hour now. When did it happen? I don't have the slightest idea when the shift happened. I just know it happened because I did it every day. You know, and to your point, you know, who cares about how long it's going to take as long as you know it's going to happen. So for me, it was like, you got to stop. When I first started, I had to have music. I got to a point where I can run now without music. You know, I don't know when that happened. I don't know when it happened. I just know it happened because I didn't stop. I didn't quit. I didn't give up. I stopped worrying about how long does it take to run a mile. You know, how long does it take to lose 5 pounds? I just like, forget all of that. Just run. And so if we would concentrate on planting apple seeds, you know an apple tree is going to come. You're never going to get if you plant apple seeds, you'll never get an orange. You'll never get watermelon. You'll never get grapefruits. The earth is smart enough to know that whatever you sow into it, that's what is going to get you back. And so for me, it was like, stop worrying about weight and stop worrying about, you know, what your blood work is going to look like and stop worrying about getting older. Stop doing that. Just get up and work. And if you run every day, if you do resistance 3-4 times a week, if you eat properly, it's just going, it will just happen automatically. So stop focusing on the reward, focus on the work every day. And I'll be honest, I also had to realize that rest is work. That rest is a part of the work.
Okay. Yes, dude, like that. Okay, first of all, I can see the jawline, man. I see you.
Yeah,
I see you slimming. You look good, bro.
Yes,
you look good.
Coming out.
You're looking
out.
like that young ET from 2012, man. Resistance training and running, that's a fountain of youth, right? But I think it's important, right? And when we're looking at running plans and getting out there, well, that's some uncomfortable stuff, right? Your body feels bad. You know, the amount of pressure on your joints, depending on how much you weigh, you know, feeling a little jiggly, right, when you're running. Who looking at me? Where are we at here? But if we just can continue to move on, you know, and just say, hey, this is what I do. This is a part of who I am now. And that's where the magic happens, and when that shift, when you don't know it happens, because you just turn into a different person, after a couple weeks, like, dude, this is like normal now, this is what I do. And it's almost like you can sit there in your hotel room or at home in Michigan and be like, yo, I don't feel like doing this. I'm gonna negotiate with myself. And then all of a sudden, just by autopilot, maybe an hour later, you find yourself putting on your sneakers because now it's a habit, right? And I think that too many people have that finish line, myself included, right? It's like, oh, I want to lose 15, 20 pounds. Okay, but then what? Right? So I think changing habits, changing lifestyle, changing the fabric of who we are is what brings us to those moments that you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No question, Shawn. And I would just say to everybody that's listening, fight till you get to the point where it's a habit. Like fight. Like, don't worry about how long does it take. Am I losing weight? Is this thing working? Like, don't make that the focus. I believe the focus should be until you get to the point that person that's telling you to stop, telling you to quit and give up. I believe you should go until you can negotiate with that person and get that person to say, yeah, no, we're going to do this every day. No, 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 like, no, we're going to do this because this feels good. No, we're going to do this because we're being transformed every time we do it. Like I believe that when I first started, it was two Erics. It was the Eric that had the dreams and the goals of, getting that line back, that jaw line back. And it was another Eric that was saying, yo, you in your health, you may not be where you want to be, but man, you killing it in your marriage. Man, look at what you're doing in terms of a speaker. Like, man, look at as a father, you putting in work. Like, why? Like, bro, you got about 3 or 4 areas that you're doing good in. You're not possibly gonna do good in every area. Like, yo, chill, bro. Like, relax. Like, look, like I don't care if you overweight or not. You're still putting out content that's changing the world. People are still grateful for, man, hey, you got one little area, you can't possibly
Hey, I ain't
be
perfect.
dominant. Like, relax, bro.
Can't have
Chill,
it all, yeah.
And I had to negotiate with that
Yeah.
person. And I had to get to the point where me and that person got on one accord and we were able to say, you know what? Whatever we're doing that's the best in one area, man, we need to do that in every area because we can. We've shown that we could make this happen in speaking. We've shown we can go from a GED to a PhD. Like, we've shown, like, come on, guy, work with me. Like, get on the same page with me. Get on one accord with me. So I think everybody that's listening, you need to negotiate with that other person, and you and that person need to get on the same page and say, whatever our best is in one area, we're going to bring that to every area.
It was so funny. Ed Milet said that, like in his book, One More, right? It was the thermostat.
Yeah.
The thermostat of your, so if your thermostat is set to 75 degrees as far as your health and fitness, you ain't never going to go higher than 75 degrees. So once you hit that 75 degrees, you sabotage, right? And that's what I do, you have done in certain areas, everybody listening now, there's somewhere in our lives where we will not allow ourselves to get to that burning hot 100 degrees, or like you like to say, that 120, right? Like but if we continually battle and fight that person, that critic in your own mind, you can crank up the dial, that internal thermostat. And it's not a gift, it is not given, it is earned.
That's it. And I'd like to say it's only earned when we believe it's important. Like, literally now, guys, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, is when you start earning it. It's like, okay, it's not going to happen if I don't crank it up. It's not going to happen if I don't want it. It's not going to happen if I don't desire it. It's not going to happen on its own. I have to be very intentional and deliberate about making it happen. And so I've got to pull something out of me that's there. It's not naturally turned on. It doesn't work on its own, but it's there, it exists, and if I push it, if I pull it, it's gonna come out. And I think when we get to that point where we're like, yeah, I'm going to be responsible for making this happen, for turning up the dial. Like I'm gonna literally go to my health or go to my finances or go to my mental and emotional, and I'm gonna literally touch it, turn it, pull it up. I think that's when it happens. And I think all of us have that, but a lot of us are waiting for the Shawns or the Erics of the world to push us, to encourage us. And it's like, yo, we can only do so much. We can get in your head, but we can't make you take your hand and do it and turn it up. And so I would just encourage and challenge everybody who's listening, figure out what that 75 set is for you, that 80 set for you, and just determine, look, I'm not going to die at
It's interesting because that right there, what you're talking about, that internal dialogue that everybody struggles with. For me, you're talking about your health journey. When did you start that, by the way? How long ago? Do you remember?
Yeah, it had to be we're in June. It had to be the end of February.
Bro, I started the same time. I was 230 pounds, and I just looked bad. You know what I mean? I saw a picture of me at a football game. I came up on TV. My friend took a picture of it, posted it on Facebook. I'm like, oh, hell. What are you doing to me, bro? Like, who is that fat kid? And then it's funny because it was an LSU game. So I played baseball at LSU, right? So after the game, my wife and my son, we got on the field. It was the ball game, and we got to take pictures with the players, Jaden Daniels, Heisman Trophy winner, all these number one draft picks. And I'm looking at these pictures. I'm like, who is that? I don't know who that is. And it took me about another month and a half. Then I did a TED Talk, and I saw the pictures. I'm like, yo, we're done here. We're done here. And it was a different push for me this time, though, man. I gotta be honest, because like aesthetically, we all want to look good, right? We all want to look good. We want to go to vacation with our family, take our shirt off at the pool and the beach, and be like, all right, daddy looks good, right? And the wife happy. And we're happy. We're secure. But I think the biggest thing for me, man, was I want to be here for my kids. I want to be healthy for my 3 beautiful children and my wife, because if something happens to me, their life is going to be immediately impacted and changed. Are they going to be okay long term? Yeah. But if I can hold off on any traumatic event for them, by losing their father, by taking care of myself, doggone it, I'm going to do it. Did that play into the equation for you?
Yeah, for me, man, it was and I have to be honest and say, it's what you were talking about before with Ed Milet and that set. I had gotten to a point in my life where I had just given up on trying in the health board. I just was like, yo, I don't have another, to run a marathon, for me to run 10, 11 miles, you're talking about 2 hours. I was like, bro, I don't have another 2 hours in my day. You know what I'm saying? I just don't have another 2 hours. Like, I'm in a healthy marriage. So, wifey and I, work together. So we spend a lot of time together. I'm getting up doing my spiritual stuff. It just was like, bruh, I just don't got another 2 solid hours to give to something. I just don't have it. And is it worth the 2 hours? Like, okay, if I die at 75 versus 90, you know what I'm saying? All of these excuses, all of this stuff, and then it got to a point where it was just like, you know what, E, if you die because you didn't try, that's weak. That's weak, bruh. Like that, you're less than a man. If you leave your family here and you didn't try to do something with your health, you didn't try to push past, average, that's weak, E. And so for me, it was just a motivation of, hey, they telling you pre-diabetes. They telling you pre-hypertension. Like, you got to do something about that. And it was like, okay, okay, E, let's go. And again, once you start doing it, then I had the strength every day. Like, I'm going to fight this. I'm going to fight this. I'm going to fight this. But before I actually did anything, I was like, man, I can't. I'm just not going to be able to beat this one. I'm not going to be able to outdo this one. Like, it got me. But then again, once I started, it was like, whoa, I like the results, putting the blood pressure cup on, going and looking at my blood work. I was like, oh, okay,
I
we can
like
win.
this. This
Okay,
is
we only
cool.
down
We
by
get
10.
behind it a
Okay, we
little
only
bit.
down by 8.
Maybe I
Okay,
can
we
do
only
it.
down,
Maybe I
we only
can
down
do
by
it.
5. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, some
yeah,
dude that I admire once said, "You owe you." Right. Right. And it's funny because, like, and again, dude, I'm sure your wife does it to you too. But my wife will tell me, like, what do you tell all the athletes you coach? What do you talk about all on your show about determination? Well, we all struggle in some things. So for the audience listening right now, like, really close your eyes and think about this, right? Because we're sitting here with Dr. Eric Thomas, man, ET himself, and he just admitted that he has things with himself that he negotiates just because we do things, and we can light the pilot for a lot of you guys and motivate you, but we still struggle, and I think as men, it's big to admit that. So I appreciate that about you, man, because not a lot of men will talk about that.
yeah. And Sean, I think it's unfair to let people have the assumption that we got it all together. I think it's unfair, for people to look at us and go, oh, he don't have no area he's struggling in. And then now you're looking at yourself like, I'm a failure. No, you need to know, yeah, there's some areas that we're killing it in, and you too can kill it in. And there's some areas that we struggle in that eventually, if we change our mindset, we're gonna kill it in that area too. And then when we're killing it in multiple areas, now it's the balance thing that we gotta try to, because I can't lose my marriage for my muscles, and I can't lose my muscles for my mental and emotional. You know what I'm saying? So it's like even when I'm running now, I'm saying, okay, this is also a time to get the mental thing right. Like, okay, you're running. Can we get the mental in here? So I'm praying. I'm detoxing. I'm shutting the world off. I'm meditating. I'm like, yo, if it's going to take me an hour to run these 5-6 miles, then this is going to be a mental time for me. This is going to be a time where I get out toxins and where I start believing in myself, and I start, concentrating on things that, are critical and important to me. I start reflecting on what's working, what's not working with adjustments. So it's like, even when I'm doing what I'm doing, you still have to be careful, because when you start killing it in multiple areas, you can't lose one to gain in the other one. And you got to find that balance to make sure that it's all gains and there's no gains and losses. But because I see guys who, man, killing it professionally, but their kids can't stand their guts, or their wife, is like, where are you? Like, you're gone all the time. And so to kill it is important, but to sustain and maintain while you're killing it is also important.
Dude, I think, we talk about the balance, that word balance, dude, like, and it's misconstrued, right? Because you're never going to be able to give 8 hours to the family a day, 8 hours to work, 8 hours of fitness. So that thought of balance to me is like, I get it, but no, right? So I think what's most important though is how can you execute the things that you need to when it's your time to do that? Like for you, the running, the lifting. But then when you're home with your wife and your kids, now we're present. That is hard, because now I'm not at the level you're at, but I'm going to tell you my phone doesn't stop. Somebody always wants something from me, right? And I'm always moving and shaking, right? So there's a lot of times where I'm efforting to be present, but then I also falter and I answer a text message, and that chips away. For my wife, she's like, yo, dude, just leave it there until 8:30 when the kids go to bed, and then answer. So those are, like our wives are so important, right? Like I love my wife, and she keeps me honest. She lets me know, like, hey, bro, you got a lot of room to grow, and I'm just now starting to be so much more open to certain things that she's been telling me since we've been married. And so I'm on my own little journey now, but man, the art of being present is the most useful art in my opinion.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. And I think we have to philosophically, make some adjustments, because if you just change your behavior without changing philosophically what you believe, it's not going to work. So I give you guys an example. I'm not the person that believes or grew up. My mom was a worker, so it was kind of like in our home, everybody was domestic, right? My mom, she wasn't a stay-at-home mom. And so she kind of trained us on, okay, you got to cook for your sisters. You're going to have to wash clothes. You know what I'm saying? Certain things you have to do to maintain. So I've got a friend of mine who watches me, in my home, wash clothes, vacuum, whatever. And so they were like, man, I want to do that, but it didn't really work in their marriage. And I was like, bro, first of all, you don't have to do what I'm doing. But it was like, I think my wife would love it. But the problem was he grew up in a culture where, women were domestic. And so it's like, you can't, like, there's nothing wrong with your belief. Like, if that's what works for you, that's what works for you. First of all, you can't compare to what somebody else is doing. Like, what works for you works for you. But you would have to change seeing your wife as domestic and then seeing yourself as domestic as well for that to work. You can't see what I'm doing, but still have a certain mindset and try to do my behavior. So I always tell people, if you change your mindset, you got to do that first before you can change your behavior. So I'm with my wife. We're at dinner the other day. We're at lunch the other day. My son is with us too. He had traveled with us to do some videography work for me. And I get a message from one of our board members. And I'm just going to be honest, Shawn, I did not have to answer the message. The message was urgent, but it was not urgent in terms of time sensitive. It was just urgent in terms of the matter, right? So Shawn, I answered the call. And my wife says to my son, oh, I'm used to that, right? And for me, it's like, okay, I'm at a place in my life now where I've got a guy who runs our company. So I don't have to do day-to-day stuff no more. So when I'm with her, I can't be present now because somebody's running day-to-day. But Shawn, the problem was, philosophically, I'm still on that. You got to answer calls in 24 hours. Yeah, you got 24 hours, you got to answer phone calls. Yeah, you feel me? So it's like
It's everything, right? Answering everything.
everything.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
there still a
And so,
level?
but I had to say to myself, Shawn, yeah, I had to say to myself in that moment, though, you did not have to answer. You could have answered it later. Like, it wasn't time sensitive. So I got to change my mind in that you don't have to be the 24-hour guy no more. You're 30 years in your career. You got somebody else running your stuff. You kind of pull back. You can really pull back for real now. Like, you don't have to be as engaged as you want. But to your point, Shawn, you got to change and so I'm telling them, you can kill it in every area, but you have to change some of the ways you think about things in order to be able to do that.
I love it, man. I want to ask you one more question, then I want you to talk about your event, okay? And I think every married man right now, and every wife that's listening wants to know the answer to this question. How did you respond to what your wife said to your son?
I responded silently, but like she's absolutely right. And to be honest, Shawn, if we were in a different season 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I just would have been like, boo, I'm being real with you. We got to eat. And I got to do this in order to eat. Bro, I've been doing this over 30 years. I got a team now. I don't have to be as engaged now as I was. Now, everybody's not at that point in their career, but I'm at that point in my career after 30 years. It's on cruise control. And so it was like, okay, she's right. This isn't 12 years ago. And you're going to have to learn that, hey, it's okay not to answer immediately because they're not even asking you to do that no more. But that's just the way I was trained, grind, grind, grind. And so rest and relaxation and being present in the moment is a new thing, that I'm working on. But it was like absolutely right. And I put my phone on do not disturb. So I even changed the way people can have access to me these days. And I just got to tell myself, stop, Eric. Know that.
Dude, it's hard, man.
Every time it rings,
Dude,
stop.
it's like you're smacking yourself, and it's hard because okay, you're here. Like, all right, Shawn, you're here. But then when Shawn gets here, he still thinks he's here. And that's the same thing that you go through, like 30 years, and you're still answering a message when you're at brunch. I'm like, you've got plenty of people to take care of that now. but you can't take the dog out of the dude, right? Because in your mind, you have had those moments where you didn't have clarity. You have been homeless, right? So you're sitting there like, oh no, I got to eat still, right? So to your point, philosophically, as men and as individuals, we need to change that perception of what's going on and how we view things before we can, take those actionable steps day to day to show that we don't have to do that anymore. So I know we're running low on time. You got to get to the airport to get back home. Talk to us about your June challenge that's coming up. I want the audience to know what's up.
In January, we started the year off with everybody, 30 days, right? 30 days, just to help people mentally and spiritually, get on the right foot, right? A lot of people were on fire for about 30, 45 days afterwards. So this is kind of like, hey guys, if you love me being your coach for those 30 days, it's time for us to go back and restart the process, because a lot of you've fallen off. You were on fire, you were strong, you've fallen off. So I'm about to 30 more days. I'm about to be with you in your head, in your mind. And I did it because there are a lot of people who watch me online, but you're not getting the same instruction when I do it, on 30 straight days. 30 straight days. So that's all it is just just on the phone with me every day, and me just walking 30 minutes, me coaching you on mentally, spiritually, and emotionally what you need to do to kill the day.
Oh, I love that. Now, let me ask you a question. I'm sure my audience is going to be dying for this answer. Now, for the working mom, the working dads that are, can't be on live, are they able to listen to playback and really dive in on their own time and still be coached by you?
Yeah, no question. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I went through it last night. It looked good. As many times as they want.
Yeah, but super excited. They can watch as many times as they want, ask questions, answer their questions. But you're going to get that passion, get that instruction like I was at Florida, Florida State, Clippers basketball. You're going to get that same ET 30 straight days.
Dude, that's amazing, man. You're going to have a bunch of people at 120 ready to run through brick walls, bro.
No question.
And I know that takes a lot of time for you and your team to put together. And I think it's great that you're doing it out there for, people that know, love, and trust you and that want to be a part of your circle, but can't necessarily, be there in front of you day to day. I mean, that's just not the reality, right? But to have that influence in people's lives and people to accept that, I'm definitely going to do it. Because, I want a little bit more. And I told Brandon, I was like, hey, this little interview ain't the last that y'all are going to see of me. Like, he goes, oh no.
Where are you?
I'm in Florida.
Where are you stationed?
I'm in Florida.
Which part?
Florida, Fort Myers, Florida, like Naples area.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Yeah, I want to come in the studio. I want to come.
Whenever.
Yeah.
You want to come here?
Okay.
Yeah. Done. That sounds like a blast to me. So we'll coordinate that with Brandon and, get that going. And that'll be a lot of fun, man. That'll be a blessing. And me and you in person, I think it would be. Come on, dude. We got some content. We get some content too. We'll do a workout together. You name it. We'll figure that out offline. But hey, man, I appreciate you, bro. And it's been surreal for me to connect with you. And after all these years of listening and being inspired by you, thank you. There's a bunch of people here that I played your videos for in sales meetings that it was their first exposure, and so you made an impact, man. And I can't wait to rap with you in person. So it'll be fun.
Likewise. Yep. Be blessed until then. I'll see you before. We'll make it happen before the end of the year.
Can't wait, bro. Can't wait. Hey, everybody, share this episode with everybody you know. Check out the show notes for the link to sign up for the challenge. Dive into it, guys, because there's no one better. He's a true soldier. He's a true man of faith. I love him. You'll love him. ET, thank you so much for being on the show, bro.
Man, thank you. Appreciate you, fam. I'll see you soon.
You got it, baby. Take care, man.